Hello Acceleration Nation, I am here at Fowler's in Bristol and today I get to ride the Yamaha Niken. I am so buzzing about riding something that's so radically different to what I'm used to, and just having it around in the car park, it attracts so much attention. People are asking, how does it feel, what's it like, is it heavier, is it lighter, what's it going to be like on the road. So I hope I bring that out to you. So if you're new here, click on that subscribe button and that bell and join part of the Acceleration Nation. I took the Niken on a beautiful summer's day to Portishead Point Lighthouse. A very dominant bike and everybody was looking at it, like everyone, cars, motorbike riders. But the bit that I was wondering is, you know, you get that like biker nod, like the yeah you're cool. I don't think that you got many biker nods because maybe it wasn't part of the club because it had its two front wheels. The Yamaha Niken comes with a lot of modern assistance technology that you get with a lot of other bikes. That includes 3 driving modes, still got cruise control, which I've never used before, and it was quite nice switching that on. Traction control for a couple of levels, I think wet, sport, and then kind of everyday touring. It also had the up quick shift system, which was nice and effective, and the gearbox was pretty smooth, nothing really to report. What I did enjoy was the A&S clutch, or the assist and slipper clutch. It made it very light to use. I had no left hand ache at all. Arguably, you're not using it as much because of the new quick shift systems. But it gave me great clutch feel, and I believe it compensates when you're at low revs just to minimise stalling larger bore engines. The Yamaha Niken that I'm riding is the GT model, so a slightly longer distance version of the standard. It comes with a higher screen, which was quite effective, but still at motorway speeds I found myself tucking just to get under that windshield protection. It has a very comfy seat, I've got no complaint. You can also get side panniers for it and heated grips, which are activated using the LCD display. It's also got a healthy tank size of 18 litres, so it's perfect for long distance touring. Ultimately, the first thing that people look at is the fact that it's got 2 wheels up front and 1 wheel at the back, but a lot of people have asked if it's like a trike and do you need a motorbike licence to use one of these. I can confirm you definitely do. Whenever I stop for photos, a lot of people try to ask about how does it turn. Obviously it does, it's a motorbike, it definitely leans in and achieves a 45-degree angle, which is quite impressive for having 2 front wheels, which essentially decrease that range of how much you can lean into a corner. I mean, obviously I get really close to the 67 degrees that Marquez achieves. Yeah, I'm really close to that. I saw my track time, totally not. So this is called Ackerman steering technology, which is essentially a sophisticated parallelogram that allows both wheels to turn around the centre point but on different radii, which is quite a clever system basically. The linkages bring the whole front system together and you get quite a lot of feel. The bit that I was fascinated with, and arguably I forgot, is that you could sometimes there's something in the road you need to avoid, and I was like, oh, I've got 2 wheels either side of it, I can just go the other side, and then obviously complete forgetting like a nutter that I've got a centre wheel right in the back, which I then went over the bump, so not entirely useful. One thing I did notice, and that might be because the suspension wasn't set up for my weight, so I'm about 70 kilograms or 11 stone, the rear shock was quite sudden and aggressive, so going over a main bump it would send a real good jolt right up your spine, and I found that a little bit disconcerting, so I had to kind of prepare myself. And the other thing that I found was I'm so used to hooking my knees in at the side of the tank, whereas as you find on the Niken, it's a very smooth side of tank, kind of flush into the frame. I prefer a bit more grip around there, so I'd probably modify it with a couple of stomp grips to keep it sticky. In terms of the height of the bike, I have a 33-inch inside leg, and I could pretty much put the balls of my feet solidly on the ground. I have checked and they do a lowering kit for this, so you can drop it by 15mm if it's absolutely necessary, and again, make it comfortable for how you like to ride. Why have Yamaha bothered to make this excellent concept bike into reality? Well, it's only sharing the benefits of the fact that you've got two front wheels, you've got double the contact patch right at the front of your bike, so that gives you a great sense of feel and traction of the front end. Whilst I'm clearly very used to having a single front wheel and used to the feel that gives me, I did feel like I was sat slightly far back, and that's very much the riding, comfortable touring style of this bike. And I've just come off a Super Sport, which is arguably a little bit more sporty. But when I tipped into the corners, after that initial dubiousness of how it would feel, you immediately are just delighted by that sense of the way it tracks around and the way the wheels give you that feedback. Now it is a centre yoke from the handlebars that is essentially split out into this Ackerman parallelogram linkage system. But there's actually quite a lot of information coming from these telescopic forks here. Like, this one led to a slightly different riding style where I just thoroughly enjoyed having the presence of two massive front wheels, really big contact patch, and a really strong feel for the road, because I've doubled it up and getting a lot more information. I could brake when I want, really carve and lean and lean into those corners, and I felt like I was on like rail tracks, you know. It pushed itself around, you were pushing it around, and it was so planted, and I think that's a really good job that Yamaha have done here, and you must try one to really experience what this feels like, because it's a really clever piece of kit. Now, if you're not clearly distracted by two front wheels, the commanding front end of this Yamaha Niken is so awesome. I love its stance and the dominance and the aggression of this carved front. It looks great and it feels great to ride. It's like it really is such a muscular looking bike, and I think that's what makes this even a little bit more special in terms of how it's designed. Yamaha got it right, and these lights are pretty funky too. The one item that I found a little bit awkward was the size of it. So where I'd try and go through gaps and try and fit in it through traffic, or I'd try filtering, I just wasn't comfortable doing it because it was massive. It's got a 410mm wheelbase to it. It's a really wide front end, and I was using the mirrors to use as my whiskers basically. But I did feel like it's massive, but in the same way people do get out of your way. With a 263 kilogram curb weight, I was quite curious to see how I was going to deal with putting it on the centre stand, which, as you can see, not really that many problems. The slight difficulty came in when it came to getting it off the centre stand. It took a fair bit of a shove, and eventually it comes off and your gloves fall off and it all looks a bit embarrassing, but either way it comes off with a bit of weight behind it. You have to be a confident manoeuvrer to move it around, but it doesn't want to tip so readily left and right on account of the two big front wheels, so I didn't find it too bad. And it's time to talk about the engine in the Yamaha Niken. It is an 847cc 3-cylinder triple from the MT-09. It's got a slightly heavier crank just to balance it out, and it's still the cross-plane system that we know and love with the MT revisions, which gives this bike that subtle bit of character. And also there is a little bit of burble on roll-off, a little bit of overrun, which always makes me smile. Also has a revised fuel injection system, so that gives a precise mix of the fuel-air ratio that traditional fuel injection systems don't have. It gives it a very clean, linear response and a really steady pull all the way up to peak torque, which I think is about 87 Newton meters at 8,500 revs. So really steady. With 113 brake horsepower, it's not going to start peeling tarmac under your wheels, but you certainly know you've got it there, and it's been fantastic just for blipping in and out of just some windy roads. So it's more than enough. The Yamaha Niken has a curb weight of 263 kilograms, which is actually quite heavy, and obviously there's been a big weight penalty in having that 2-up front wheel system along with the linkages. That's taking a lot of weight, so that weight saving has to be found somewhere else. It does have a revised frame system, so it's got a steel front trellis system here, and then it's got the aluminium swing arm at the back just for a little bit of weight saving. I also think that there's a decision to put a slightly lighter engine in here just to again minimise that total weight of this bike, and that's why it's the inline triple that we see here. Time for a little bit of noise testing with my posh microphone so you get a better feel of how this engine sounds. Have I enjoyed taking this Niken for a ride? Yes, a little bit too much. I've had a grin on my face ever since I started riding it out. Although I have ridden bigger bikes than this, I've never ridden one with so much hunk, so much junk in the trunk. I thought I'd be intimidated by it. I thought I'd struggle to turn it and move it, but it's really well balanced. It's gives you plenty of feedback. The clutch control is light. I think it's got an assisted clutch system, and I still know where I'm putting the front end, and I want to plant it into corners because I want to know what that feels like. It's a different riding experience, and you don't get modern bikes these days that offer this much versatility. I was walking through Fowler's and I was thinking of different bikes to ride, and you just walk past an Niken and you're like, what? It's got 2 front wheels. What are we going to do there? So that bit about it is just a great opportunity to ride something different. I've ridden many bikes in my lifetime, and I'm sure you have or you will, and this one is just revolutionary different, and it's not a scooter. It's an 850cc motorbike with plenty of grunt, plenty of torque, in fact, and it goes places, and it does it with a security of 2 front wheels, 2 sets of kind of traction controlling ability, and it gives you a sense of presence and feel and dominance of the road, which is also complemented by its looks. It's a superb bike. It's just, is it too different for enough people to cut on, and is it too cumbersome in the sense of not cutting through traffic or taking gaps that you normally would? You'll have to figure out for yourself. Now, one thing I think this bike has the opportunity to do, with a bit of engineering and a bit of intelligence to go into that front end, could it bring more people with different riding ability to the biker world? Is it something that's friendlier for new people? Or anyone with any physical disability, any kind of physical impairment, is there any way that could be engineered to give a more support rigid trike system when you need it, and then the flowing system when you don't? I think there's something in the front of this bike that could really change a few people's lives. My final verdict is the Yamaha Niken. You've got to try, you've got to come and ride this, because it's an experience like no other. Where else are you going to have 2 front wheels, there's all that versatility and manoeuvrability without going to a hardcore fixed tricycle or not really feeling like you're on a motorbike at all? So yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, why not click on subscribe to my rides. Click on that subscribe button and ring that bell and join my Acceleration Nation.